Coach, the podium's yours. Opening comments.
It's a pleasure to be here representing the University of Virginia. I'm still getting used to saying that after 13 years at Brigham Young University. But I'm thrilled, encouraged, and really excited about what I've seen so far. I like my team a lot. I like their work ethic. I like their diligence. I like their resiliency. I like their toughness. And holy cow, we've asked a lot of them. For those that haven't seen us practice, maybe those are just words to you right now, but they're handling a work capacity in a very short time that I didn't think they'd be able to handle. Two of my leaders are with me, and I couldn't think of two better representatives than our center, Jackson Mateo, and our middle linebacker, Micah Kaiser. I selected them to come, and I was the one that chose them, not only because of how they play the game, but I like them by how they work, and I like who they are, and I like the toughness and resolve that they have in terms of leading our team. I would say that at the University of Virginia, we're ahead of schedule in terms of the culture with the execution to follow. And so we'll be working hard this fall camp to make sure that for the players that earn the right to come into fall camp with their conditioning, that they're ready and fit. But we have some football work to do, but we are a program that bases will before skill sequentially, and we build from the inside out. So eventually we'll play great football, but until then we work on toughness and effort. And we've made significant inroads in that regard, and we think the football will catch up relatively quickly. I love my coaching staff, 14 members now, and families followed me across the country from the state of Utah. I only work with people that I like and I trust. And so an entire group of people came all the way across country to do that. I think our players love them by their energy, enthusiasm. I certainly love them. And we have a lot to be optimistic about and hopeful about in terms of the University of Virginia's future.
Hi, Coach. Paul
Hi.
Woody, Richmond Times-Dispatch.
Hi.
Could you update us on your quarterback situation? Have you settled on one guy, or will you go into fall camp with 2 or 3 guys competing for the job?
The question was regarding our quarterback situation. We currently have 3 quarterbacks in contention that we will carry through fall camp before we make a decision. Matt Johns is one of our quarterbacks, which I love his leadership and his poise and his experience. Connor Brewer had a very good spring, much more efficient and effective than any of us expected, and he was just grateful for a chance, but he made the most of it, and he is in contention. And a transfer from East Carolina, and Kirk Bankert, and we're very intrigued by what we've seen from him with the upside of he has 2 years of eligibility, and so there's a nice bridge there that could be formed with possibly a little bit more experience. And so I won't know until fall camp is over, and we'll have to do a masterful job of orchestrating fall camp to distribute the repetitions enough to be clear enough as to who is the uncontested leader, which is usually one of the biggest challenges in a relatively tight time frame.
Coach, to our right, first row.
Coach, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com.
Hey.
Just what you can say about inheriting a team that's obviously gone through adversity, and you have 2 guys here that are saying they've bought in, they've seen the environment change. What have you seen from the team that you walked in and saw a few months ago?
I appreciate the question. It was regarding indicators of buy-in from our team. It's been really rewarding to be here today and be able to sit in and listen to their interviews. And they are authentic. They haven't been asked or schooled to say anything specifically by me, and it's really been fun to listen to them, and it's really been fun to watch our team work. And again, work to me is a literal term. Growing up in a horse operation and what that entails, I remember my father sending me out and a cousin. I think I was 11. I was 9 and my cousin was 11, and he and my uncle pointed us to 40 acres of hay that had just been baled and sent no one else out with us and told us not to come back till it was done. That's 2 kids with that expectation. I learned really early on that people can accomplish much more than what they've been asked. And so our team is doing what they're asked to do, and I'm pushing them really hard. And with that comes the ownership and responsibility of myself to make sure that what I'm asking them to do will work. They believe it's going to. They're trusting me that it will. And they're certainly doing their part to this point in terms of developing the work capacity. You cannot be neutral and you can't be gray in our program. There is no middle. And so just simply to exist on a daily basis, you have to declare one way or the other. And that not many players have left the program indicates that you really have to be all the way in just to survive a day in the practice.
Coach, far left near the wall, about 7 rows back.
Hi, Coach.
Hi.
Caroline Zukowski, WUVA in Charlottesville. How do you feel the players have changed from when you first got there to now, mentally and physically?
The question was, how do I think the players have changed from when I first got to Charlottesville? I remember the first team meeting that I had. And I'm passionate about research based on truth and communication and what's been said without using words. And the team that was in front of me when I arrived at UVA, their eyes would not make contact, their heads were down, and they looked right on the verge and acted right on the verge of despair. And I remember changing what my message was to them, what I had prepared, and when I saw that, and working to inspire at that point. But really, it's difficult to inspire without the work. And so what's happened is our team's capability and how they carry themselves and the confidence that they are capable, that's been the biggest change. They actually believe now they are capable. And that's a huge gift, and it's a very, very powerful message. If you believe you're capable, you kind of are anxious to take on challenges rather than be hesitant or apprehensive about what might come. And I think that's been the biggest change, is earned confidence through our preparation.
Coach, right at the aisle, 3rd row on your left.
Yeah.
You're new to Virginia, but not new to head coaching. How much of a security is it to say, okay, I did X, Y, and Z at BYU, and that worked, so I'm just going to do, I could do X, Y, and Z here. I know that will work too in building the program.
Yeah, I think there are core principles that you're insightful on in addressing. There are core principles of leadership and organizational design that I think are universal, and those are at the core of what I do in terms of preserve the core and then stimulate progress around it. So the core has come, the progress around that comes with now adapting that specifically to the talent and the fit specifically of what kids will come to UVA and why they'll come. And so I've brought the core principles, and now I'm adapting and adjusting to the existing environment and what resources we have to make sure those things are highlighted to move forward. But what the players know and what they already decided before I arrived was they believe it's going to work, just simply by looking at the number of wins and the track record of myself as a head coach. That's not a guarantee, but they'd already decided that they trust that this is going to happen, and just they were willing to just give it a shot, knowing that they'd already experienced losing 7 of the last 8 years, and they don't want that. And now they're seeing the antithesis or the opposite of that, and they want that, and they believe it's going to work. And what's compelling to me is now that they see what work that's going to take, they're still going. And that's kind of the preserving or stimulating the progress about asking this particular group, which has been so downtrodden, much more so than the team I inherited at BYU, which had 3 losing seasons. This was another step above that. But man, they've responded quicker than what I've thought, at least in terms of being confident that they can.
What strikes you about your fellow coaches in this division?
Yeah, I think we're skilled. I think the Coastal Division is skilled. I had an existing relationship with David Cutcliffe on the AFC Board of Directors. He sits to my left, and Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern sits on my right, and we've developed a great relationship, so I had tremendous respect for David already. Have coached against Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech twice already, knew about him, had become friends with Mark Richt through Nike in earlier days. Have followed and had coaches coach against and with Larry Fedora at North Carolina. Had one matchup with Justin Fuente when he was at Memphis, but also plenty when he was the offensive coordinator at TCU, and have seen what they're capable of doing. Have I forgotten anybody? Oh, and Pittsburgh, and Pat Narduzzi, already one of my favorite guys, and he actually worked with the D'Antonios at Michigan State, who I know really well and have exchanged defensive ideas with, not only happens when you think someone else is skilled at what they're doing. So I think we have a good division with good people as coaches, but also good coaches. And those sometimes are different. There are good people that aren't good coaches, and there are good coaches that sometimes aren't good people. But I think from what I've seen in my short time in the league, it looks like we have both. And it's challenging, which is great.
Coach, right here at the podium, I want to circle back to your opening comment about being ahead of schedule when it comes to culture. It strikes me that both time and culture are intangibles. So how do you know that you're ahead of schedule?
Yeah. So the question is regarding how I know I'm ahead of schedule regarding culture. When you measure output objectively, not subjectively, and there's so many ways to do that now. And if I would say, the players alluded to what are called tempo runs. Tempo runs are basically metrics that allow us to play the speed that we want to play at, which we think we can play harder, longer than most of our competitors. When we know what marks the players have to run consecutively to make and play at that pace, then we can measure that. And if in past experience that's taken players 1 or 2 or 3 years to get to that level, and it's taken them 3 or 4 months to reach the same level here, then that means physiologically they're more capable. To be physiologically more capable, because those things are very difficult to do, mentally you've got to have some resilience. So we're using objective measures, which I didn't think we'd meet as fast as we have. That doesn't guarantee success, but the preparation and the mindset, I think it shows.
Thank you. Your last question will come to our left, second row.
Bronco, you and your family have had some interesting arrangements since coming from Utah. Where does that stand now as you're heading into a busy part of the year?
Yeah, the interesting arrangements have just gone from a hotel to an RV to a cabin in Montana. I arrived last night at midnight, and our target move-in date for permanent housing in Charlottesville is August 1, which is the same day we come back to work. Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Leave it
Coach
at that.
Mendenhall, thank you very much.
Thank you.